Okay, welcome to this week's Conversations with Marléne and Pascale. This week we are having a think about changing negative mindsets. Before we get into that, let us do a quick introduction. My name is Pascale Lane. I'm a therapeutic confidence and success coach, and I help women in business to be more confident, be more successful by healing childhood difficulties and really helping them to grow into the fabulous women that they are and live the life they truly deserve. Marléne?
I'm just listening to what you're saying. It sounds so great.
It is so great. I love
great.
it.
Lovely. Great. So I'm Marléne Rose Shaw. I'm a therapist and a coach and self-help author, and I specialise in relationships. And I love empowering people to stop people pleasing and communicate with courage, live life on their own terms. And I work with individuals and with couples.
Fantastic. All right. So mindset. So we're going to be thinking today about like how to change a negative mindset. We're going to be thinking about the importance of a positive mindset, how to recognize a negative mindset, which I think is really important because I think a lot of people don't always recognize that they're in that space, and what to do if you are stuck. So really like what to do if you're stuck and kind of how to change it. So what is mindset? Let's start with that. It's a bit of kind of like it word, isn't it? What is mindset, Marléne?
Mindset, yeah, it's one of those words that you hear all the time. I quite like it actually, so I think it says what it is does on the tin. Is that the expression?
Yeah.
Mindset means to me, your mindset is the pattern of thinking that you have gotten into the habit of. So it's how you view the world, how you think, and how you do that regularly, and how that affects the experiences you have. Because what we think leads to how we feel, and therefore what we do. So basically, your mindset affects your whole life. It's often based on experiences and belief systems, beliefs that we formed from previous experiences, often in childhood, which have got reinforced maybe over and over, because your mindset encourages you to reinforce experiences you've had before, which then seems to provide evidence that the mindset is right. And so we keep going on in the self-fulfilling prophecy. So that's quite a long-winded way to describe what I see as mindset.
No, I mean it's a great way to describe it. I was just thinking as you said that, like because Carol Dweck came up with the fixed and growth mindset. I'm not aware, and I maybe might Google this actually. I'm not aware that mindset was a term before she came up with fixed and growth mindset. Because I also think of like abundance mindset and kind of, like confident mindset and positive mindset. I don't know whether she actually coined the phrase, but you're absolutely right in kind of how our early years experiences help us to form our, let's just say for argument's sake, fixed or growth mindset, and then how we then look for, and we all do this, like regardless of what we're doing, with confirmation bias, right, where we seek evidence to confirm what we are thinking. And so somebody who has a let's say a positive mindset, a growth mindset, an abundance mindset, will look for opportunities to grow, will look for opportunities to improve, will see knockbacks as a positive way to learn and adjust and improve. Whereas people with a more negative, can't think of another word for negative, but a more negative mindset will always like to kind of stay safe in their bubble, stay in their lane, and then if anything happens which trips them up, will use that as confirmation that they shouldn't have tried, they should just stay small. I always like to say, like, fixed or growth mindset, there's no judgment attached to that. Like, if you want to stay in your comfort zone, stay in your comfort zone. Like that's fine, right? That's absolutely, but we don't all have to be kind of trying to take over the world. Like, it would be a nightmare if we were all trying to build an empire and you know, constantly kind of like, you know what I mean. But it does, you know, I love leaning back into all this childhood stuff, and I know you do too. And it really is, I always come back to, what did you learn growing up? Not about like what, not just about what you learned growing up, but what did you learn from your parents or your primary carers, in terms of, were you encouraged and supported to grow? Were you told that trying your hardest was good enough? Or were you criticized and shamed for not doing good enough, not trying hard enough, being lazy, like all of those things? Because that really feeds in. That's the stuff when I work with my female clients in business, that's always the stuff that comes up. You know, what was your experience of being parented? Was it a positive, keep going, darling, keep trying, you'll do better next time, well done for trying your hardest? Or, you know, which obviously gives you the resilience to keep going and to succeed? Or was it something quite different?
Yeah, and I think mindset is, it's such a good, you know, mindset. It's such a good word, really, because it's a sort of set behavior of thinking, isn't it? That, because I was thinking also, like you say, you know, what was that experience? What started that mindset? What, you know, what were you told? And actually, sometimes it's, and what did you come to figure out from experiences? So a child who may have felt rejected, for example, may have figured out that maybe they weren't worthy. And then when they're older, and one day a friend passes them by on the street, doesn't notice them, and they feel rejected. Oh, see, I just get rejected all the time. And actually, it's just because this other person was thinking about something else and didn't see them. But it's that constant looking out for things, for evidence to attach the meaning that has been attached to things before. So it's what we're told, as you say, and it's the interpretation that we've put on experiences that we've had. And quite often in childhood, that interpretation is completely skewed.
Yeah.
I've had clients that I've worked with, particularly with matrix reimprinting, for example, when we go back and visit an experience from childhood, where, you know, somebody shouted at them in the queue, and the dinner lady shouted at them at school or something for nothing, and it's triggered the whole mindset throughout life.
Yeah, that, I mean, those, yeah, those early experiences, like, and you're right to say it, because they are often really skewed. Sometimes they're not, to be fair, but like, but often they are, because as a child, we're only ever seeing things through the lens of a child. Actually, I was talking to somebody about this exact thing yesterday, and it's like, when we think about kind of like having an inconsistent parent, right? And this is an example I give a lot, because it's just something I'm very aware of. Like, through the lens of a child, you can have really inconsistent love, and or like conditional love, like really not knowing what you're going to get from that parent. But then we can appreciate as adults, when we become adult to adult in our parent child relationship, which I know you do a lot of work around. Like, also, we need to be able to understand what was going on for that parent, because was that parent suffering with like mental health difficulties? Were they in a toxic relationship? were they having like big problems at work? Did they have a drinking problem? Like there are so many things that actually make you inconsistent as a parent. And you know, we're both parents, so we can relate to that now as mothers as well as children. And so what children interpret growing up and how they internalize that is, as you say, sometimes right. Like sometimes right, absolutely. I'm not dismissing that at all, but sometimes not right.
I think it's both. I think quite often there are major things that happen that a child is taught or experiences, and then little things that happen which they base meaning on based on those other experiences, and they see as evidence for more of this, when actually it wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
All experiences that happen coincidentally in a row, which they'll attach. You know, it's all our experiences, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And also whether or not you like how much, and this will depend on the child, the individual child and their character, how much they base their future decision making on that experience. You know, like if you are always using, if you start off with that reference point, and then the next kind of 3 experiences are built on that reference point, and then so it goes. We were talking about confirmation bias. You know, it all kind of that's the trajectory. I always talk about the trajectory. That's then the trajectory that you go on. Is where you are now is built upon a million experiences that have subtly or not subtly affected your trajectory, whether you're going a little bit left, a little bit right, straight on, like diving off the edge of the cliff. You know, it's all really, really important stuff. Okay, so that's the mindset bit. What is the importance of a positive mindset?
Oh my God, it's like the most important thing, because we get what we think about. I mean, I know that now from many, many years of being on the planet, as well as many, many years of being a therapist. Of course, we get what we think about. On every level, as I say, what we think about tends to influence what we feel, and what we feel tends to influence the choices we make and the actions that we take. So, of course, we do. And also from a law of attraction point of view, like attracts like. So if we are thinking positively, we're going to have positive experiences. We're going to notice things, like you say, we're going to notice opportunities ahead of us. If we're thinking, well, this will never work out, well, guess what? It won't. If we're thinking, I wonder how this could work out, how can I have a positive viewpoint on this? We'll notice all those opportunities that we just didn't see before. They were always there, we just didn't see them. So positive, and we feel better. Our whole vibration, our whole energy feels better. Our health, everything's better if we're positive. And actually, it's not just about being positive and attracting the things we want. It's about being happy whether we attract those things or not, isn't it? Because it's about being happy, not the things.
Yeah, I had to really lean into all of this stuff in a massive way last month when I was like in a different physical environment, which led to a very different emotional environment inside my brain. And I really had to kind of lean in. I lent in massively to like my spirituality and kind of my universe thinking. And yeah, that detachment piece is really important, actually, kind of going, this is what I want, this is what I'm focused on, but I also have faith that everything is going to be okay if this doesn't work out the way I think it's going to. And like very much, I think what we're both talking about here is also a positive mindset, but also a very abundant mindset. But even within abundance, that detachment is very important, because it's about the inside, isn't it? It's about like, but I'm okay. Like whatever happens out there, I know that I'm okay. I know that I am enough. I know that I am loved. I have love. I do good. I am valuable. I am, all of that stuff, and everything else that I want is great, but it doesn't define my reason to be.
I think what we think is, and the positivity of that is so important, because if we attach our happiness to things and events and other people, well, it's a huge gamble. It's like playing roulette or something, spinning the wheel and hoping it will land on the red or the black or the number or whatever it is. Hopefully, if this is red, I'll be happy. If this is a 20, or I don't know the numbers of roulette, something like that. If this is a 20, I'll be happy. We can't live our lives like that. We have to think ourselves into happiness first.
So is that how you would describe somebody with a negative mindset? Is that they externalize their worth and their happiness?
No, I wouldn't say that. A negative mindset is expecting everything to be doom and gloom and not work out and negative. I would say to attach our happiness to external events, to other people's decisions, to material things, is more of a kind of a mindset that could do with a bit of working on. Needs a bit of mastery, because you're not mastering your mindset, you're just not really understanding the power that you have by mastering your thoughts. They're just willy-nilly everywhere. Oh, she said something nice to me, now I'm happy. That's not being negative, but neither is it being empowered and a master of your experience.
Yeah. I mean, I know in the past I've actually cut off from people who've got a very negative mindset. Like I can think of like two or three. One very prominent, which I just cut off completely. Sounds a bit harsh, but it was like it was just too much. But I really do avoid people with a negative mindset, because that doom and gloom mentality, where everything is it's either woe's me or kind of like fuck the world, like everything is just so dark all the time. I mean, it's an absolute, I mean, I know you know this, right? But to our audience, we are the sum of the people that we spend the most amount of time, right? We're the average of the 5 people that we spend the most about. Yeah, however, whatever permeation of that. And so if you are spending time with somebody who is constantly doom and gloom, you cannot help but absorb that energy. Like, even if it's just like, oh my God, like here they go again, like Jesus, I can't listen to this anymore. That is you taking on that energy. And it's just it's hideous.
It's palpable. I'm very aware of energy. I really feel it, and I think you're the same. And when somebody's I can literally feel it in my system.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I don't think, like you were just saying a minute ago, I don't think they always know that they're doing it. Like, I don't think, again, back to childhood again, like it's just a pattern of behavior that they've learned and they've stayed with. But yeah, it's soul destroying for them, but it's soul destroying for everyone around them. So what advice would you give to somebody who is stuck in a negative mindset?
Well, it depends whether they want to get out of it or not. I think, like,
Well, I think, well, it depends, like we were saying on last week, it depends whether they're aware of it
whether
as
they're
well,
aware of
doesn't
it
it?
and want to get out of it. I mean, those negative people that we've just been describing, I've had a few in my life, and what I usually do is I try as lovingly as possible to make them, help them be aware of it. And if they just refuse to budge, then yes, I've said goodbye to a few people. Not many, couple maybe. But if somebody's in a negative mindset and they're just like, oh, I'm so, and I'm fed up and I don't want to feel like this, and, you know, and I mean, I've been there. I was there this morning about something and I was really aware of it. I was like trapped in my own sort of negativity. And I'm normally very good at stepping out of it, but I was struggling. What I generally would do for me and suggest to friends and to clients is there's a couple of things. One is to go general. So that is to just step away from whatever it is altogether. Don't try and fight it, and don't try and force yourself to feel positive about something if it's worrying you or it's bothering you. Just distract yourself completely. Just go away from it. Love a funny cat video on YouTube. Works wonders for me. Absolutely. Especially if they're in the water, they get in the sink, you know, love it. Giggle, laugh, honestly, it lifts you right out of that. So if you're really, really stuck and you just can't, you know, those thoughts, they go round, I mustn't think about this, I mustn't be negative. And then the next minute they're round and round. So go away from it completely. Go out, go for a walk in nature, do something funny, do some art, do whatever works for you. Have a dance, play some music, whatever works for you. And the other thing that works really well is gratitude. Just little gratitudes, just like listing little things. It doesn't have to be great big things. It can be the great big things. Our family, people who are special in our lives, our friends. But it can be little things like making a cup of tea and really enjoying it. And that will immediately lift your vibration out of that negativity, because it's kind of like a pattern. And once we break the pattern, then it becomes much easier. But we have to break that pattern. What do you find works for you?
Good pattern interrupters. Well, like I said, last month I was really lent into my spirituality. That really, I wouldn't say that lifted me kind of like into like elation, but it definitely kept me feeling safe and kept me feeling stable, which was great. And then two things that are my go-to is my best friend, who I'll just phone and have a good chat with her. A good chat and a giggle always sorts me out. And music. Music. Blast the music. And kind of like, just shake it out really. Music has always been a real soul connection for me. So that always works a treat. And I suppose there's also something, I said this to my husband the other day, actually, just like, and I wasn't being unsympathetic, but I was just trying to kind of like snap him. It's just like, why are you so fixed on this? You have this is 100% out of your control. So like, why are you fixating on something that you have absolutely zero control over? Like, pick your battles. Like, if we have control over a situation, then that's absolutely fine. If you can do something to tweak it, if you can do something to just nudge it, do it. But if you've got something that you have absolutely zero control over, let it go. Like, you can't obsessing over something that you have no control over is about as helpful as a chocolate teapot, as far as I'm concerned. Like, utterly useless.
Love that expression, chocolate teapot. And that's what I'm saying. It's about just go away from it. Just go right away from it. It's interesting about the spirituality and the meditation, actually, because there's something for me about meditating that in general actually gets me out ahead of it, because I'm a great one for saying to my clients, get out ahead of something. So if you imagine, you know, feeling really upset about something was 10 out of 10, and you're at a level 6 out of 10, well, it's not that far for something to trigger you and you to get into a negative mindset about it. If you've been meditating and you're a very low, chilled out 1 out of 10, and something comes along, it's a long way for you to go to get triggered and get into this negative. So the meditation almost kind of sets me up to be in a chilled space.
Yeah. I'm not amazing at meditating. I can do guided meditations, but I can't do quiet meditations. My brain just, I'm 45 and I still haven't been able to train my brain to be quiet. But what I do every morning, without, I wouldn't say without fail, I think that would be a lie. But most mornings is write out my goals and my gratitude. And then one thing that is even more helpful than that for me is I have a 12-minute recording on my phone that I made myself of my affirmations and of my goals and of my gratitude. Sorry, I feel like I've got a bit of fluff or something under my eye. And I listen to that same 12 minutes every day, and it just really
That's
gets
wonderful.
me going.
Yeah. I think we need to, all of us, you know, anybody who's listening to this, who recognizes themselves as being negative, it's human. You know, we all go through it. It's just, it's not helpful. So it's better if we can find ways not to be so negative so often. And it's really just a kind of a beautiful sign and a reminder that we have mastery over our thoughts. If we catch ourselves being negative and feeling really awful, it's actually a nice reminder to say, oh, actually, I could think differently if I wanted to. And not only can I think differently, but I can think really positively. If I can think this negatively, I can think really positively. And wow. So I'm just being reminded that I've got this skill and it's time to put it into practice.
And that just I don't know why, whether this is appropriate or not, but like that, what just came to me then was like, smile and the world smiles with you, frown and you're on your own. My dad always used to say that to me. Not you know, not in a horrible way, but it always stuck with me, because I know how, and this is going to sound a bit conceited, and I bear with me, I'm not being an egomaniac. I know when I'm happy, when I'm smiling and I'm like all like bubbly, I know that people around me feel that energy, and I know that my bubble is positive. Whereas if I'm walking around with a frown and a face like a slapped ass, then obviously that is the energy that I'm giving off. I always like to say to my clients, feel the feelings. Like, let's not dismiss negative feelings. Feel the feelings, go there, but don't unpack your suitcase.
Oh, yes, that's great. Can I nick that for my clients?
Yes.
Thank you.
Copyright Pascale Lane. Yes, have it. I like, go there, but you're not staying there. So find balance, isn't it? Like, we want to feel like if something's not going right for us, we don't want to just like poo it and push it away. We've got to give ourselves permission to not feel okay, but just don't. You're not staying there. Don't unpack.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, it is about acceptance, isn't it? And it is about, it's all right to feel negative sometimes, but just see it for what it is and just move on.
Great. Thanks, Marléne. Another great session.
Bye, Pascale.
See you next week.